There is a cruel paradox in the modern professional world. You sit at your desk, you type a simple message to your boss, you carefully craft every single word, you delete and rewrite the same sentence 5 times, you hit send, then you read it again and again. You stare at the glowing screen, you scrutinize every comma, you analyze the tone of a basic email, you wait for a reply in pure agony. Your chest tightens immediately. Your breathing becomes incredibly shallow. A cold sweat forms on your palms. Your heart races as if you are facing a physical predator. You feel completely out of sync with the confident persona you project to your team. You look at other colleagues and they seem to communicate without a single second of hesitation. You feel like a total fraud playing a corporate game you do not truly understand. The heavy weight of the imposter syndrome creeps into your mind. You secretly tell yourself that you are just too sensitive. You believe you are fundamentally flawed. It is a terrifying and silent internal battle that leaves you utterly drained by noon. You are experiencing a profound emotional burnout from the most mundane daily tasks. You carry this heavy secret every single day of your career. You hide this intense fear behind a perfectly calm face. But you need to hear this truth right now. You are not broken. Your brain is not malfunctioning. Your mind is actually doing exactly what it was beautifully designed to do. What if this agonizing cycle of endless reviewing is not a sign of weakness at all? However, the modern self-help industry sells you a very specific and dangerous They constantly tell you that you simply lack self-esteem. They quickly advise you to just trust your inner voice. They say that truly confident professionals never look back at a sent email. They insist that you must fake it until you make it, so you try your best to follow this common advice. You desperately force yourself to act boldly in the workplace. You attempt to project a perfectly effortless communication style, but the more you pretend to be indifferent, the more profoundly exhausted you become. Why do these popular psychological tips feel so incredibly heavy on your shoulders? It is because they completely misunderstand your internal cognitive architecture. Modern corporate society loves to label this cautious behavior as mere shyness or a crippling lack of professional confidence. They treat your meticulous nature as a character flaw that needs to be permanently fixed or coached away. This is a violently distorted view of your psychological reality. Your daily struggle is not born from a weak personality. It is not a sign of a fragile ego or professional incompetence. You do not need another loud motivational speech from a life coach to fix you. You need a clear structural explanation. Why does the relentless pressure to be a flawless communicator drain your neural energy so rapidly? The profound answer does not lie in your personality at all. It lies deeply rooted in your biology. But your deep insecurity is nothing more than a brilliant neurological illusion. When you finally hit send on that email, you desperately expect your mind to rest. It does not. Instead, the silence triggers a highly complex system in your brain called the default mode network. You need to understand that this is not a personality defect. It is a wildly sophisticated predictive machine operating right behind your eyes. In those agonizing minutes of waiting, your attention is completely hijacked by this ancient neural circuitry. The network rapidly boots up and begins to ruthlessly simulate every possible negative reaction from your boss or colleagues. It meticulously rewinds every single word you just wrote, dissects the hidden tone of your seemingly innocent greeting, and instantly generates the absolute worst-case scenario. It transforms your quiet office into an invisible courtroom, perfectly designed to condemn you for the slightest digital misstep. You have spent your entire life calling this exhausting habit overthinking. Modern cognitive neuroscience simply calls it a hypervigilant predictive processing state. Your brain is desperately trying to forecast the future in order to mathematically guarantee your social survival. It is scanning the digital horizon for any sign of rejection. It actively burns massive amounts of your physical energy to run these endless mental simulations. This intense metabolic drain is the exact reason why you feel so profoundly exhausted by a single text message. Your mind is not torturing you out of pure malice. It is aggressively calculating your exact position within the social hierarchy of your workplace. But what exactly happens deep inside your nervous system when this predictive machine detects a potential threat to your safety? What triggers this agonizing and compulsive physical review of a simple digital message? To understand this invisible terror, we must look deeply into the groundbreaking polyvagal theory. The frantic beating of your heart is not a sign of emotional weakness. Your body is experiencing a powerful biological phenomenon known as neuroception. It is an unconscious surveillance system continuously scanning your social environment for safety or danger. When you hit send on a message to a superior, your neuroception does not see a harmless digital communication. It perceives a potentially irreversible action within a dangerous social hierarchy. It interprets the excruciating lack of an immediate reply as a literal T-heart to your professional existence. Your autonomic nervous system instantly shifts out of a calm ventral vagal state. It plunges you directly into a desperate fight or flight response. Your body urgently prepares for a physical attack that will never actually materialize. It temporarily shuts down your prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for rational thinking, and floods your entire bloodstream with stress hormones. The tightness in your chest is simply your biology preparing you to run away from a predator. This is a massive false alarm triggered by a highly complex modern environment that your ancient brain cannot fully comprehend. You are sitting completely safe in your ergonomic office chair, but your nervous system truly believes you are standing on the edge of a deadly cliff. Your biological machinery does not care about saving face or maintaining a polite professional image. It only cares about pure survival. But why did human beings evolve to have such an incredibly sensitive and exhausting alarm system in the first place? This exhausting, meticulous analysis is not a modern disease. It is a profoundly powerful evolutionary heritage. You must travel back tens of thousands of years to truly understand your own mind. Imagine living in a small and incredibly tight-knit human tribe. In that unforgiving ancestral environment, social cohesion was not a matter of climbing a corporate ladder. It was a brutal matter of absolute life and death. If you misread the tone of a tribal leader, the consequences were immediately fatal. If you casually offended a key ally with a careless gesture, you are permanently exiled into the harsh wilderness. And evolutionary exile meant certain death. The human beings who survived this brutal filter were not the careless and blindly confident ones. The survivors were the hyper-vigilant individuals. They were the people who stayed awake at night. They were the ones who constantly scanned the faces around them for the slightest hint of disapproval or rejection. Your modern brain evolved this extreme hypersensitivity to rapidly detect incredibly subtle shifts in human behavior. You meticulously analyze every single word in an email today because your ancient biology still remembers the terrifying cost of miscommunication. You are physically carrying the genetic legacy of the most socially intelligent survivors in human history. Modern corporate society constantly tells you to cure this sensitivity. That evolutionary psychology views your existence completely differently. You are the sentinel of your tribe. You are the highly attuned observer who spots the invisible social threats before anyone else even notices them. This intense attention to detail is not a psychological flaw. It is a structural superpower meticulously designed by nature to maintain vital human alliances. It is an extraordinary evolutionary advantage that has simply been misplaced in the modern world of shallow networking events and digital text messages. Your anxiety is actually the lingering echo of an ancient protective shield. The very trait that makes you suffer so deeply in the corporate office today is the exact biological trait that kept humanity alive in the dark forests of our past. You are not a broken machine. You are magnificently adapted to protect the ones you care about. But this beautiful cognitive realization alone cannot stop the agonizing physical pain in your chest right now. If you cannot simply use rational logic to think your way out of this primal evolutionary loop, how do you finally turn off the alarm? This exhausting meticulous analysis is not a modern disease. It is a profoundly powerful evolutionary heritage. You must travel back tens of thousands of years to truly understand your own mind. Imagine living in a small and incredibly tight-knit human tribe. In that unforgiving ancestral environment, social cohesion was not a matter of climbing a corporate ladder. It was a brutal matter of absolute life and death. If you misread the tone of a tribal leader, the consequences were immediately fatal. If you casually offended a key ally with a careless gesture, you are permanently exiled into the harsh wilderness. An evolutionary exile meant certain death. The human beings who survived this brutal filter were not the careless and blindly confident ones. The survivors were the hyper-vigilant individuals. They were the people who stayed awake at night. They were the ones who constantly scanned the faces around them for the slightest hint of disapproval or rejection. Your modern brain evolved this extreme hypersensitivity to rapidly detect incredibly subtle shifts in human behavior. You meticulously analyze every single word in an email today because your ancient biology still remembers the terrifying cost of miscommunication. You are physically carrying the genetic legacy of the most socially intelligent survivors in human history. Modern corporate society constantly tells you to cure this sensitivity, but evolutionary psychology views your existence completely differently. You are the sentinel of your tribe. You are the highly attuned observer who spots the invisible social threats before anyone else even notices them. This intense attention to detail is not a psychological flaw. It is a structural superpower meticulously designed by nature to maintain vital human alliances. It is an extraordinary evidentiary advantage that has simply been misplaced in the modern world of shallow networking events and digital text messages. Your anxiety is actually the lingering echo of an ancient protective shield. The very trait that makes you suffer so deeply in a corporate office today is the exact biological trait that kept humanity alive in the dark forests of our past. You are not a broken machine. You are magnificently adapted to protect the ones you care about. But this beautiful cognitive realization alone cannot stop the agonizing physical pain in your chest right now. If you cannot simply use rational logic to think your way out of this primal evolutionary loop, how do you finally turn off the alarm? But you cannot use your agonizing mind to somehow miraculously fix your own mind. When your internal nervous system is screaming in terror, trying to logically rationalize your intense anxiety is a completely useless endeavor. You cannot simply command a terrified brain to suddenly stop overthinking. You must shift your entire approach, abandon the exhausting mental loop, and turn directly to somatic regulation. Stop fighting the relentless swirling thoughts in your head. Instead, gently bring your profound attention down into your physical body. Notice the heavy tension tightening your jaw right now. Feel the shallow, rapid movements in your chest. Acknowledge these painful physical sensations without a single ounce of harsh judgment. Now take one slow, deliberate breath. Inhale deeply, hold it for a brief, quiet moment, and exhale incredibly slowly. You are practicing a vital bottom-up clinical intervention. By consciously slowing down your breath, you are sending a powerful, undeniable biological message directly to your primitive brainstem. You are actively forcing your panicked physiology into grounding itself in the present reality. Feel the solid weight of your feet pressing firmly against the floor beneath you. Let your tense shoulders drop, slowly releasing the invisible, crushing burden of the modern corporate hierarchy. You are manually overriding your ancient evolutionary programming. You are actively choosing to turn off the alarm. With every single slow exhale, you gently guide your entire nervous system back toward a calm, deeply secure ventral vagal state. You are finally co-regulating with your own terrified biology, becoming the calm anchor in your own internal storm. You are physically proving to your ancient, hyper-vigilant brain that you are completely, unconditionally safe in this exact moment. But what happens to your professional identity when you finally stop trying to be so perfectly flawless? When your physical nervous system finally settles into safety, your conscious mind must confront a profound existential choice. The modern Western corporate world demands a brutally exhausting social script. It constantly forces you to project an aggressively outgoing, highly networking, and flawlessly confident persona. You have spent your entire career desperately chasing this artificial ideal. You mistakenly view your naturally cautious, overthinking nature as a fundamental failure of your professional identity. But according to the deep psychological framework of narrative identity, you are simply trying to write a life story that does not belong to your biology. It is time to practice a powerful, radical acceptance of your true self. You are completely allowed to be occasionally awkward in daily conversations. You are permitted to be deeply thoughtful before you speak or type. Your inherent human worth is absolutely not measured by your ability to deliver a perfectly smooth elevator pitch. Your true value lies in your profound analytical depth and empathy. You must permanently let go of the overwhelming toxic pressure to be a careless and effortlessly perfect communicator. Surrender the heavy, suffocating mask you wear every single day at the office. Allow yourself the absolute grace to be beautifully imperfect in a culture that blindly demands superficial perfection. You do not need to fix or optimize your personality anymore. You simply need to stop performing for an audience that does not truly see you. This deep shift in perspective is the ultimate key to your lasting einen free one. But what exactly happens in your mind when you finally drop this exhausting daily charade? The digital message is already gone. The final outcome is now entirely out of your hands. You cannot control the unpredictable response, but you can finally control your internal reaction. Your professional intellect is absolutely not broken. Your immense intelligence is simply very loud today. The next time you find yourself staring at a glowing screen or standing in a crowded networking event feeling entirely lost and overwhelmed by your own racing thoughts, do not aggressively fight it. Do not force yourself to wear the heavy mask of artificial confidence. Instead, take a quiet moment, close your eyes, smile gently at your own highly sensitive nervous system. Silently thank it for trying so desperately to protect you from invisible social harm. This profound self-awareness is the beautiful beginning of a quiet transformation. When you finally understand the ancient biological machinery operating deeply inside you, the blind psychological suffering simply stops. This is a profound cessation of your exhausting, lifelong internal war. It is a peaceful awakening to your true human nature. You slowly realize that you do not need to be constantly fixed, optimized, or corrected by the modern corporate world. You're never actually broken in the first place. Your mind is a miracle you have always safe. Your deep understanding of this fundamental biological truth is your ultimate freedom. Just breathe. You are here.